All right, we're jumping into chapter 9 of Tenacious Servant Business. Before we do that, let's do a little check-in. Did you take a whole week? Are you just running through these chapters? If you've already got a company, it may make sense just to run through the chapters because you may have done some form of this eventually. If you are still looking at opening your doors, or if you still feel like things aren't quite settled, please take a whole week to go through and do chapter 8. If you haven't watched it, take a second, hop back. It runs through setting up a timeline and how to pre-plan some failures so you know what you're doing and how to walk through it. All right, I digress. We are going into chapter 9. Play is the highest form of research. Albert Einstein. All right, you reached in. I'm going to say this every time because I just love what he did with the illustrations, but Yurish did the illustration for this one as well. Chapter 9 is research. The action of dreaming, then consistently doing, is where our success actually comes from. You've done the fun dreaming. Now we need to create the proof in the pudding. So don't yawn just yet. And if you need to, go pout or stomp for a second. Go ahead, let it all out of your system. What is the definition of research? The systematic investigation into and study of materials and sources to establish facts and reach new conclusions. Most creatives will either over-research something or ignore it until the last minute. Some of us associate research with stabbing myself in the eye with a hot spork. Make bite-sized pieces. It may seem easier to put it all in one basket at first. However, on day 10 of research, you will realize you have no idea where that one piece of information is. It is okay to research everything separately and not try to put it in story mode just yet. Honestly, I highly recommend it. Utilizing a free service like Google Drive or Trello, if you want to read ahead to chapter 17 to learn more about these, go for it. Break some rules. Label the research efficiently. Break the projects up into folders that all go into the big jumbo folder. Typical things to research, and my 2 cents with it. Potential customers. The old model used things like 55-year-old white rich man or woman, etc. Gross. You. Let's try a little refresh with some reality. Do you want to reach someone who loves to do yoga? What else does that person like to do? Where do they shop? Create the perfect 3 guests. Then learn their habits to create the place for your potential guests. What's the consumer need for your service and product, both online and in your community? What's the median size income, immediate town, and how far will people drive for your services? This is excellent information for understanding how you can also serve your community down the line. Pricing structures for your company type. Research local and abroad. Do not use this to set your prices. After 5 years in, I still have only a vague idea of what others charge. Because if I dig in, my human, fragile ego kicks in. I then wonder what they are doing better or pat myself on the back for being better. Neither of those works in any industry. However, this is good information to know. We are perceived as expensive for our area to some, yet we are less expensive than several companies near us. I cannot adjust for my future guests' perception of expensive. Pay scale. What type of pay scale works for your industry? Will it be all employees, all independent contractors, commission? Know your state guidelines for each of these. Your CPA is your best resource for information regarding the tax options on the payroll. We'll also dive way deeper in chapter 10. Price per square foot / year. I hated doing the math this way. I'm just going to tell you that. That's not written in the book, but I'll tell you. The price per square foot is different in each area of any town or city. Sometimes it is done as a price per square foot per month and sometimes done per year. Examples of rent equations are square foot per month will look like $2,400 a month for 2,400 square feet. You then know it's $1 per square foot. Annual rent would look like $28,800, breaking down to $12 per square foot, then further down to $2,400 per month. Take the total, divided by 12 months, year lease monthly. Below is a link to different lease options. These can make a huge difference in how much you pay your month to... I misread something. Hang on a second, shall we? How much you pay per month to create a budget. And using a lawyer or someone who can negotiate leases is an excellent option. The money you can save from negotiating can be worth every dime in the long run. How will you file your company? Will you file it as an S Corp, an LLC, sole proprietor, or partnership, maybe a corporation? And who's going to have the best information for all of that? Well, let's dig in a little farther. S Corp is a small business that allows future shareholders. This allows for a smooth exit strategy. There is a yearly filing report with the IRS to prove this, and it must have a board of directors. Think allowing up to 49% shareholders until you're ready to sell. Now you don't have to find a buyer straight out. LLC, Limited Liability Corporation, can also have shareholders, but is treated as a partnership from the IRS standpoint. It will need articles of organization, and shareholders are referred to as members. This also allows a limited amount of liability for people to come after your personal belongings. The best practice is to separate home and business finances from a legal and mental standpoint. Sole proprietor. I did that by mistake. Anyway, it takes no extra filing. The burden is 100% on you. I do not in any way condone this. I won't go down the rabbit hole, but it can be unpleasant when your personal and business finances can be seen as one. Partnership is a lot what it sounds like. Two or more individuals or businesses agree to join into business. This can be orally or written. In the sake of clarity, might I suggest always written? All included agree to enjoy profits and losses equally unless a formal agreement is made beforehand. Corporation allows the business to act as its own entity with a board of directors. This can be nonprofit, private, or even municipally run. It can exist indefinitely and has the limited liability of an LLC. Best place to tackle this information for your company? You guessed it, your CPA, your Certified Public Accountant, and that is different than a regular accountant. Please spend the money here. You will regret and spend more money down the line if you do not do this type of research. Research where you'll be buying your products from. Where does your industry usually go? Who has the best offers? Who can you contact to facilitate this? How often will you need to purchase products? Do products go bad? Create a weekly ordering system limits the amount paid out per week. More control of your capital and better accountability. This allows you to stay on top of what you need, especially when dealing with tighter budgets. Are there multiple companies with the same product at different prices? This often comes into play in our company. Well, at least our salon. I won't always choose the cheapest option. For example, if I can buy the product from my main supplier, with whom I have almost a 20-year relationship, I will. He will have my back and likely a longer warranty and guarantee. Does the product line come with that education? What will that product company do to help grow our company? Yes, you should ask the companies you will do business with and how they will help you. You are helping them financially. Shouldn't it go both ways? I have left 3 makeup companies because they did not follow up with education for their products or their promises. I've switched 2 skincare companies because of the same thing. Also, what is the markup for retail products in your industry? Can you add retail or additional offerings to add income to your company? In all 3 of my companies, I've been able to add additional things to what our main service is offered. I can guarantee if you have a service-based company, you have additional things that can serve your community. What's your turnaround time on orders? What equipment do you need? Do you need a contractor for build-out or building? Loans and APR versus investors versus yourself. And advertising. There's a lot of information here. So I'm actually not going to read 3 of these paragraphs because if you really want this information, you can hit me up and I will send you the paragraphs themselves or buy the book. But I will jump into loans and APRs. Often when opening a company, you will need capital. The biggest difference between a loan and an investor is that when you go through a bank, they just want you to pay the money back. When you take it on an investor with capital, you leave the door open to extra opinions. Insert all your extra Aunt Susie opinions on how to run your business here. In full transparency, I've taken the best route, not for lack of trying banks. Financial savvy has been a learned process for me, and most banks laugh when I walk in. Although my investors don't have opinions on how to run the business, it does affect my sleep. I've been lucky. Most don't work out this way. So which devil do you want to sleep with? Hindsight being 2020, I would have spent one more year at the previous company, letting them pay my bills and investing in myself. I would have figured out the finances before jumping ship. If you can fund your own, good on you. Do you want partners or a single person company? Either way you go, you must navigate people with opinions and beliefs. How will you work through disputes? Which partner, employee, subcontractor is responsible for what? And advertising. Yes, word of mouth is still the best plan and keeps your guests happy, so they share the message. But that isn't a strategic plan. Will you be hiring a company? Will you be handling it on your own? Will it be social media? Is there a budget for social media ads? Your projected sales should be in a business plan, but we will be connecting that part in a future chapter. If you get stuck in your research or want to double check it, find a small business bureau in your area and have them check your work. They're an epicenter of information for lost souls like you and me. Also great for overachievers that need an unbiased look. I'm not calling you all out, I'm just saying. All right, go ahead and take 3 breaths to yourself. Let's do it. 1, 2, 3. It's like I relived all of that research. All right, a thought leader. Before you jump into the research, what do you need to research first? What will it affect? Fill in the journal with your research from this chapter. And then your book club, do the research. So I'm not going to give you a book for this. I'm going to tell you that you need to go research all of this, and that will feel like you're reading and writing your own book. So we have finished chapter 9, research. When we come back, we'll be jumping into research part 2. I know, you thought we were done, but we're almost there. We're about halfway. So celebrate, pat yourself on the back, and I will see you next time for research part 2 in Tenacious Servant Businesses.